Hello everyone, and thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. In this video, we'll learn how to create an Etsy shop from scratch. Before I begin, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell button so that you will be notified whenever I post a new video. Let's get began, and I'll put a link in the description box so that if you click it, you'll get your first 40 listings for free, which is a wonderful deal since each listing costs 20 cents when you sign up. You may either sign in using your Facebook, Apple, Google, or another account, or you can establish one by email, and it will walk you through the entire process. It is really simple to open your own store. You will simply configure your choices. If you live in the United States, you will, the country, your language, and how you want to be paid in currency, followed by the all-important shop name. I recommend performing a few searches before you come here to see if anyone else is using a similar name or if it's available. I did this ahead of time and discovered that Design Crowd is appropriate for my second shop, where I intend to sell digital products. Following the selection of a name for your shop, you will be directed to the creation of your first listing page. Etsy recommends that you start your business with 10 listings at least. I would suggest at least one. I believe you must have one to complete this entire process. I designed a shirt mock-up. For my shop, I only listed one item and then went through the process of selecting a photo. You must have at least one photo for your listing before moving on to the title. You should include keywords that you believe people will look for. With the tools available, you can conduct extensive keyword research, and having keywords in your title is critical to being found on Etsy. Therefore, I strongly advise you to spend some time on it. Then, make sure your thumbnail matches the image you're trying to convey to the buyer so they know what to expect when they click through. Basically, the headlines are what get you noticed in Etsy searches, but the photographs are what encourage people to click through. So you must concentrate on both your title and your thumbnail. People are finding you and are interested enough in your product to click through and see the complete listing. So, while you're working on your listing, I'd say that's the most significant element. You will then select a category. You can search for what you're making in the category drop-down and then select the appropriate category, the first, and then you'll notice that it provides many categories beneath there that people will find you in, and based on your title, people can find you in others, depending on how you define your product and what you're offering. You can also choose from a variety of occasions and colors. These are optional, however they can assist you in being found in more focused searches. So, if you're attempting long tail, very specific customers can be extremely beneficial. And, of course, if you're doing something holiday related, it's a terrific option to choose so that you're found in holiday searches. Next, you'll choose whether your listing's renewal will be automatic or manual. Because I mainly offer digital products, I always chose automatic, which simply means that when a listing sells, it is immediately renewed. If you're creating an actual product, you might want to try manual. Manual is also an excellent alternative if you're just starting out and want to see what sells. As a result, you will need to renew those listings. Following that, you'll choose between physical and digital. It all depends on the product you're selling. Again, I do a lot of digital downloads, so I choose that, and then you fill out a description of what your item is. You will next choose a section of your shop, which is optional. But I have found that having your shop broken up into comparable categories is quite helpful because people do explore categories and go through and locate like things that they may want. So, as you can see in my new shop, I built a new department, and then the next optional thing is tags. Although tags are another way for customers to locate you and something that Etsy does not place as much focus on, but are really useful. As a result, I strongly advise the use of tags. You can also describe the supplies you used. If you're creating something physical and using apparel or leather, that's a great part to include because you're just adding extra keywords for the type of object you're using. Moving on to the inventory and pricing portion of your listing, you'll want to set a price first, then buy only a quantity. The number of items you can use is greater if you're working digitally. If you're engaging in physical activity, you probably just need one. And when that occurs, you'll need to perform a manual restock. If you want to allow customers to customize your listings, you can perform personalization, therefore you would choose that option there. Finally, if you're selling something digitally, you include the actual file so that the consumer can download it after making a purchase without your interference. The shop's listing is currently active. Etsy wants you to start with 10 or more goods, as I previously mentioned. Being a part-time seller, I started both of my businesses with just one item and added as I could. I just keep adding as I go in this manner. Next is deciding how you'll get paid. After choosing your country, you can fill out the information for where you will be paid. Obviously, this is private, so I did not display this information on my setup, but you simply filled in your account information and then a little bit about yourself, your address, and everything else so that they know who they are giving money to. Because you will receive a 1099 form from Etsy because you will have to pay taxes on your Etsy income. As a result, this is critical. Then, after you've set up your billing, this is how you pay your Etsy bill, and what you're paying is the listing charge. Every time you renew a listing, you will be charged 20 cents. They then charge for actual transactions, such as when you sell something. They add a 6% transaction fee, and if you ship, they charge you for it as well. Then there's the payment processing cost. That amounts to 3% plus 25 cents. Etsy certainly has a lot of fees associated with it. I believe it is still worthwhile since you are still making money and reaching a large audience that you might not have reached otherwise because Etsy is a marketplace. So there are already purchasers in the shop. But if you want to generate more money, you'll probably have to leave Etsy and utilize another program or platform. That means charging fewer listing costs. They will complete the final small things and your shop will be open for business after you've set up your payment for Etsy. As you can see, it appears in this format. So there are some things you'll need to do to get your shop up and running and looking nice. You should go in and update the shop to make yourself more appealing. You can make announcements and tell a little bit about your channel's background. You can include a promotional video. You can include some photographs with comments that share your story about why you're selling on Etsy, or you can include a story, headline, and type of. Encourage consumers to buy one of your items and become a part of your story. It's quite beneficial if you have a strong brand or a strong brand story to include here. I strongly advise you to consider starting an Etsy shop. You may do a random shop with various goods as a brand and treat it as such. But thinking of it as a brand with a unified theme and a unique concentration on a sort of product tends to do better because people remember you and they remember what you sell and what you're known for. So I definitely recommend it if you are just starting out with Etsy shop. That you don't go too far from the story and the items, and that you keep them consistent and on brand for yourself. For example, I'm opening a second shop. Digital mockups don't fit into my current shop, which is heavily focused on digital planner, topics and tools. That is a separate story, and it is for this reason that they will be independent businesses. So I believe that sticking to a specific theme is highly beneficial on Etsy, and shoppers will begin to remember you and return to you. As a result, I recommend that you include at least one photo of yourself. Shop icon. I will be updating this setup because I started it without a really clear vision for my shop. Instead, I simply went looking for a free stock photo and paid as well and utilized that to complete my setup. For high quality images, go to pixels.com or another website like Envato Element. It's paid, but it's worth it, so I suggest you use it. I've included the link to it in the description. Therefore, it will be something for which you are well recognized. And when you're developing your brand, you want it to be distinct and easily recognizable so that when customers see it's your shop, they'll click through and want to return. You should create your store owner profile as well. And you can include as little or as much information as you like. In order for customers to know that at least your shop is from a real person and you are not, they do strongly advise taking a photo. Since Etsy is truly about small manufacturers and is meant to be about products that people have manufactured to sell, it is highly advised that you work with any company. Really, that is all you require to get started. You may go through and look at everything in your shop management section. There will be cases, item or two from your shop's checklist that they recommend you accomplish, or items that can improve your shop. I recommend looking there every time you log in because there have been some really helpful tips. But since I'm just getting started, there's nothing there for my new shop, so I don't need to do that. You can go in and review and update your listings. You can mark them as favorites in the shop by staring them. You can also see what they look like when you walk through and look at them as a client would. You can check out these metrics for your listing, which I highly encourage because you'll learn a lot about how people are discovering you. That will provide you with a lot of useful information about how to promote your shop, where to promote it, and what works. So I strongly advise you to spend some time getting to know the various areas of the shop manager. And, of course, you'll have when you're taking orders. Put orders and listings in your shop, and it will show you what you have to fulfill as well as what you have completed. If you sell digital downloads, they are almost always marked as completed since they are completed as soon as someone pays for them, which they do. There is no need for follow-up, which is why I prefer digital downloads. If you're making hoodies or any physical product, you'll have a list of orders to fill. Then, of course, you can check more statistics about your shop, such as how people find you and how you drive traffic, which is really significant. And I'll be making video about how to improve traffic to your Etsy shop and how to obtain your in the future. The listing is given, but if you're just getting started, you should become acquainted with the many areas of the shop manager and what you can gain from all of that information. So, to get started, you only need one listing and the fundamentals of your shop. I hope this information was useful in learning about Etsy shops and how to build a new Etsy business. If you like this video, please hit the like button. It will help me and give me confidence to make more informative videos for you. Good luck to everyone.